Show number 70 of jpeg2RAW on January 29th. Last show of January, and just 2 days left to enter our January photo contest over in our Facebook group. This month, our contest is minimalism and world in motion, and there's some great topics out there. If you have not joined our Facebook group, you still have 2 days to join and enter the contest. And if you miss out on January, there's always, next month. We'll do one every month. Tonight, we have Tim and Kathleen coming back as our co-hosts. How are you guys?
Very good, very good.
Yeah. Kathleen, you're getting ever so closer to us losing you.
I know. Each night that I come on, I have to tell you that it's like down to the minute before I turn my computer on, I'm thinking I should just call him. I should just call him and tell him I can't do it.
and so that Ben knows what we're talking about. Kathleen is pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And
yay!
Congrats, it's awesome.
Yeah, so she is fighting the things that go along with that. But we wish you have a healthy pregnancy, Kathleen, a healthy delivery. And
tonight
then
I made a baked potato soup for the family, and the only thing that I could eat was the bacon, because after I made everything in the kitchen, everything looked disgusting to me except for the bacon. So, that's what you do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, my wife got very sensitive to any kind of cleaning material. Like if I were to do the toilet or clean the bathroom, it's just that was like an overwhelming smell that
yes.
It was way too strong.
I'm right there with you. I threw out so much stuff in our fridge. My husband's like, it's still good. I'm like, I can smell it even with the door closed. It's got to go.
So Kathleen, you know what I did to help her out? I just didn't clean.
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course.
All for her. Honey, if you're listening, I did that just for you. Well, tonight is our special guest, Ben, and his wife, Les, is probably not going to be able to make it tonight. She is under the weather, but we hope she gets well soon. Ben?
And that's her right there. She's a very little version of her, miniature Les right there.
And we'll show some photos of her a little bit later. But Ben, how are you?
I'm doing great, except for the sick wife. All is well.
Yeah, and I got to meet Ben and Les a couple weeks ago when we did the pre-show, and just a pleasure to talk to. So I hope she is feeling well soon. I know it's no fun being sick.
Yeah.
So before we get into you, I want to go over a couple of things. I want to mention the Facebook group. Have you guys seen, Tim and Kathleen, that we're now over 2,500?
That's amazing.
We're now over 2,500 likes in our Facebook page.
That's awesome.
It actually says 2,505 right now. If I refresh it, it'd say 2,504. Because as soon as you do a post, people like your page, but as soon as you do a post, they're like, "What's this?" and they unlike your page. Why did you like it in the first place? Yeah.
I thought we were.
We're up to 2,505, so getting there. I also want to mention that the Michael, you could see that Michael Clark book that I had right there in one of the photos. But Michael Clark emailed me today, said that he has shipped back the books signed. We shipped them out to him for him to sign. The October, November, December winners of the photo contest got those, a signed copy of the book, plus one other person bought one, and I bought one. So he's sending them back. As soon as I get them, I will ship them back out to everybody. And once I get them shipped out and I know what all the shipping is going to cost, which is more expensive than I first thought, then we'll have to look at what our next giveaway is going to be, because we had some decent purchases on our Amazon account in December and a few more here in January. But outside of that, we have another big giveaway coming that I'll announce on January 15th. All I can tell you now is that it's coming on January 15th is when it will start. But February 15th. February 15th.
January 15th?
Yeah.
January 15th would be almost a year away. February 15th.
Keep waiting, Mike. Keep waiting.
Yeah, so I can't tell you now what it is, but we're working on the details, working on the post, and how we're going to run it. So that's coming up, and we're trying to get, whatever it is, I'm trying to get 2 of them. It's going to be difficult. I don't know if I can do that, but we're going to try and get 2 of them. And that's all I can tell you for right now. I'll do a little teaser.
Awesome.
We're also now, if you can't make the live show, which majority of people cannot make the live show, you can of course get us on iTunes. That's the place where most people get us. You can also get us on Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and just as of today, Tim, on Zune.
Zune. You're kidding.
apparently Zune, if for those who don't know, and I know we have two. I think Ben, you're a Mac user, right?
I am a Mac user, yes.
So, and Kathleen, I know, is a Mac user.
Yes.
Zune is Microsoft's answer to iTunes,
Okay.
and apparently the only way to get on Zune is the super secret way where you have to email the one guy who is running it. And I found the one guy and emailed him, or I actually tweeted to him, and I got him to add it, and he was very quick. You know, once I got in touch with him, he was very quick, and he added it today, so it's out there today. So if you are if you're using Zune, and you know, I think they're actually killing Zune, so you know, it's one of those things. If you ever saw the movie The Jerk, I had the thought whenever he added me was things are going to start happening to me now. Have y'all seen that show?
Yeah.
So anyway, I think Zune actually is going to morph into like Xbox Music Player and that kind of stuff. So it's not completely dying. And then there's another service called TuneIn, which is like Stitcher Radio. It's audio only that will be added onto soon too. So plenty of ways to get the show if you can't make the live show. The other thing I got today, guys, is you know, this past weekend I was the finals for my son's swim team. Absolutely crazy event. I think it was a 7-hour finals with within the first 30 minutes my socks were soaked. So I spent the next 6.5 hours with soaked socks and just it was so hot. They overheated the pool and it was so humid that 7 or 8 girls passed out swimmers.
Wow.
Yes, it was like they were dropping like flies. But on the good side, I was talking to one of the photographers from the other team, and he had a black rapid. Have you ever used that, anybody?
No.
No, I use a spider holster.
He had a black rapid, which is just like a strap that goes around you like this.
Okay.
And then it connects to the tripod mount on the bottom of your camera, screws into that. And then you can just hang it there, and you can just flip it back up and take photos with it, with your camera. So I tried his on, and it was fantastic. I've never tried one before. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got one today.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Black Rapid, and I got the sport. I got the sport version. So
RAPID?
What's that?
Rapid?
Yes, Black Rapid, and it's all, you know, I have it all. What do you call it? Bound up. This is not. It folds out into a big thing. Black Rapid.
Oh, I'm looking at right here. The quick neck strap.
Yeah. I can show you real quick.
I can grab mine. It's right next door to me. If you
You
want.
have one too. Yeah.
I thought we don't have to unfold yours.
Yeah. I'm not ready to unfold it yet. But I have it pulled up right here on their site if you wanted to look at it. It's they have several versions, so you can look at which ones you like. Some of them have storage inside the strap. Some of it just enough for maybe a memory card. Others for like your cell phone and that kind of stuff.
It's really useful.
They even have. I don't know if you're a dual camera holder, but if you hold 2 cameras, they even have the ones that can do double cameras.
Yeah.
A camera on either side. So I've seen some people use those.
Yep.
Black Rapid. So they're not that expensive. I think the one I got was $60-something, and I got it off of Amazon. You know, if you're thinking about buying off of Amazon, don't forget the jpeg2RAW affiliate link, which I've made it so easy now. Just amazon.jpeg2RAW.com will get you there. Real easy. What else? Oh, Kathleen, you've heard of the Snap Swanee contest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I submitted photos for the 3rd year in a row.
Okay.
And let me see, one of mine won this year again, the third year in a row.
Hey, congratulations. I just got a text from my mom. I need to call her back right away.
Sure. Okay.
All right.
So Tim and Ben, I'll show you. Kathleen won't get to see it. This is the image that was a winner. I should not say the winner. They don't pick the winner. They pick winners. So there's several winners. This is one of the ones of mine that won the contest.
No, that's HDR, I assume.
This is HDR. If you saw this pond in real life, it is awful. It is scum-covered pond. It did not look this beautiful. But what I did is I went out You know what's funny? I wish Kathleen was here because here's what happened. I went out to catch this photo early morning. I wanted to get the fog that's on the water. I was going to get a morning shot of it, and Kathleen called me, and she kept me for like 40 minutes, and finally, right after we got off the phone, I said, I got to go. I'm trying to take a picture here. There's a little bit of fog left, and you can barely see it, and especially this, cut down resolution you're seeing here. You can barely see it. The trees that you see back there that are kind of golden, that is the sun hitting them. So I did get a little bit of that, but I did not get the fog the way I wanted it to because I was on the phone with Kathleen. But actually, I guess it turned out. So, you never know that if you're going to win this, and you don't win any money or anything. They do put it in a local paper. They put it in their it's on display in City Hall for the whole year.
It's cool.
And yeah, it's cool at the end of that. I show you a couple others I entered. I entered this one coming up, which is my favorite shooting place. I know Tim knows. It's Town Center Park here in our neighborhood. This one, which is another HDR Tim, that's coming up here in a second.
It's much further away than the shot I've seen previously.
Mm-hmm. And this one here, the supermoon. Now, this one of supermoon is cheating even more. There's no rules. The rules are just whatever. But this is HDR, but it also is two shots. I zoomed in on the moon, took a photo of the moon, zoomed back out, took a photo of, actually changed lenses, I think. Then took a picture of City Hall. So from the same spot, then I blended the two together.
Yeah, that's very nice. I like that.
Yeah. It was at a supermoon night. So enough of that. Let's get rid of that. Back to us.
And it looks like it's right during that blue hour. The sky's nice.
Yeah, I think it was. I think I went there during blue hour, and I think there's a picture that we'll get to of Ben's, where he took a shot at blue hour. I wanted to ask him about that as we scroll through his here in just a minute. Okay, Tim, anything else for the intro? Are we ready to get to?
No, I think we're ready.
Okay. Well, Ben, sorry Les can't make it tonight, but I know from the first time we talked that you do most of the talking anyway.
Yeah, that's what people tell me. They tell me to shut up most of the time, but no, I'm pretty good about it. Yeah.
No, we're not going to tell you to shut up. We love talking to you. But we do hope she feels better. That. But so, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into photography and
yeah, that's a great question.
And what it is you do.
Yeah, I got into photography actually through oil painting. In school, I wasn't a photographer. When I went to college, I went in as a fine artist. Lord of the Rings, sorry. Okay, so I went into college as a fine artist, as an oil painter, and I'm a photorealist. I actually should have sent you some of my oil paintings. They're up on our website if anybody wants to go see them, under gallery, and then it says paintings. But essentially, I'm a photorealist. In order to make a great painting, I had to first take a great photograph. So I started taking photography classes during college to help refine that, again, in order just to get a good painting. But more and more over time, I became, I began to value the photograph for itself rather than feeling this need to develop it into a painting. So that progressed, and now here I am, as a full-time wedding photographer. That's the abridged version.
And I should mention that as we're looking at the photos here, they are going to be scaled down a little bit. The quality, we can't stream the true quality because we got to worry about people's bandwidth and our own bandwidth. So we will include links to his site, and be sure to go out there and check them. And we're going to show some of the site here in a little bit too. But I wanted to go through the ones. We'll have these playing in the background as we talk, Ben. And they asked out in chat, do you still paint?
Yeah, no. I do. I would love to. I have like an easel set up. I just don't have time right now. I'm looking forward to hopefully creating more time for myself. Right? That's why you have a business, to create time for yourself, hopefully. And so I'd like to get back into it. I draw on occasion, but I haven't made a painting in a while.
Okay. Yeah, imagine you're keeping pretty busy now that, you know, you're married and have a business going too.
Yeah.
And you know, one of it's here, and here's that Blue Hour one I was thinking about. That looks definitely like Blue Hour that we have up there now.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. You have it. You have an interesting thing here on your page. You talk, you know, you and Les, you know, even your page has been in Les photography. So you know, you're selling both of you, and that comes, you know, that is a big selling point that, you know, you get both of you with both, you know, each one with your own skills. But you talk a little bit about how you met Les on there when you were working at Panera Bread, and I'm just, you know, what caught your eye is not the thing that usually catches a guy's eye from. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you met Les?
All right, very briefly, I was washing dishes the back of Panera Bread. Panera Bread, the dishwasher, they only have one access to the outside world. It's like this small little like porthole where you can kind of like see out, but it pretty much cuts off like, you know, like the upper, like from the torso up of people. Okay. So you just end up seeing legs scurry in. And I quote, "I saw the most defined feminine calves my tiny little eyes had ever seen." And I decided that the dishes, that they were clean. They were clean enough, at least for the time being. And I needed to go and check on our guests. And so Panera Bread doesn't have servers. But I pretty much pretended to be a server. I like brought their food out, got drink refills, you know, took all their things away, just continued to check on them. Yeah, and so that's really how I first met Leslie. Then they left, but Les's sister, Susan, she's very ambitious. She's very outgoing. Some would say loud. I call her friendly. And she came back in after Leslie and her had left and gave me her number. So that's kind of how it started.
Awesome.
So she obviously knew you were interested.
Yeah, I think everybody in the whole freaking restaurant knew I was interested. Yeah.
You're as subtle as I am, I guess.
Yeah.
So now, how did you get in? Why did you choose wedding photography? You know, of all the different things to choose with photography.
That's a great question. I think like most people, I had a camera, and a friend came up to me and was like, "Yo, will you shoot my wedding?" And I was like, "No." And then I did anyhow, right? That's how it always happens. You say no, and then you do it. So I first shot a friend's wedding for him as a favor. All of my paintings, I'm going to say, are all about people. I'm a figure painter. I think people are the most interesting thing you could create an image of. And within wedding photography, it's so much about people, and it's about their story. And there's something about it that I really respond to. Apart now from photography, just as a person, I love people. I love meeting new people. I love getting to hear their stories. And in a lot of ways relate to their stories, as Les and I are, you know, we're pretty much newlyweds, been married for a couple years. So there's this great joy that I find with wedding photography that has nothing to do with photographs. It has to do simply with meeting people and engaging with them, having them over. Like that's something I really enjoy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the energy that comes with a wedding, there's a lot of energy there too.
Yeah.
Now, what we have found, you know, a lot of times when a husband and wife or a team in a business, any kind of business, and you know, even in photography, is that each one kind of goes toward one thing or another. One maybe more running a business, another more maybe marketing or the photography. How have you guys worked things out?
Yeah, that's a really great question. As far as business goes, you know, in a lot of ways, I am the entrepreneurial, oh, I hate that word, mind. I'm driven in that way, and so I've really taken the bull by the horns and helped kind of steer this thing in a lot of ways. But there's still so much that Les does on the business side of it. A lot of what she provides, it's a female perspective. I hate to say that. I don't know if it sounds dumb, but when it comes to relating to brides, I mean, I can only relate so much,
Right.
you know, and there's really a lot that she's able to give during our meetings. And so I might be the one who's like ranting off about contracts and about like this technique and this and how are we going to go about scheduling her day. And so often Leslie is able to bring things back down to earth and
Yeah.
like just talk to her as a like a woman to woman kind of thing. And it's really great to have, you know, in those kind of terms. On a wedding day, Leslie's main goal is to capture the narrative of the day. Now, certainly I am too, right? I want to tell the story, but that's like her sole focus is tell the story, tell the story, tell the story. Even when there's what a lot of people might feel like no story to tell.
Right.
Like during like family formals, right? Where I'm like posing people and like structuring this really, I'm going to go ahead and call it lame shot. She's running around and gathering all the shots off to the side and the shots of, you know, the groom helping his grandma up, you know, just to the stair for the lame shot, you know, like
Yeah.
she's always thinking about that, where I'm constantly thinking about making sure that those like, well, again, going back to the formal thing, like the key like formal shot is there, you know.
Right.
Someone's gonna need that shot and want it. I need to make sure it's there.
Right.
As well, trying to think constantly about how do I make that like magazine cover image, that
Right.
like baller, really technical, like kind of crazy shot, and that usually is where my mind is all the time. So.
Well, I guess that having the two of you, you know, coming from different angles gives you an advantage over you know, one person. And I was reading your frequently asked questions. Now I can't find it, but that, you know, okay, I know what. Let's go to frequently asked questions in just a second. But I thought of another question while you were going through that, and you're talking about the bride. Often, what I have found is it's not the bride who's the biggest challenge; it's the bride's mom.
Yeah.
Who ends up dealing with the bride's mom the most? And have you had any issues? And you know, you can refrain from that if you need to.
Sure.
But have you had any issues with bride's moms?
That's a great question. Overall, our success rate is pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. And so we interview all of our brides' moms prior to accepting their date. We don't do that. I'm just kidding. No, that's a great question. Okay, so I'm a wooer, right? I win others over, and that's very true of me, except for when moms are not being agreeable. For some reason, that just like turns off on me, and I tend to be a little bit more straightforward than I probably should be. And so Leslie, she helps to step in when there is a situation where something's happening that's being difficult, right? If there's a mom that's being difficult, again, very rare, Leslie is able to step in during that time where I would probably offend somebody. But honestly, it usually doesn't happen. I tend to be pretty enthusiastic and intentionally charming towards brides' moms, and it tends to, you know, it keeps people.
Sets them in a good mood.
Yeah, it keeps things kind of rolling in a good mood. They roll with the punches. So we really don't encounter it a lot. It's hard for me to talk too much about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's good. Are we going to be talking about their editing process and their?
Yeah, we need to get to that. I know we've had some questions before the show started. We have a couple people out there in chat at least. Dee Beasley, who I think actually shot with you or shadowed you at one point.
Yeah,
she had a question, or I said she. Is that? I can't tell from Dee Beasley if that's a he or a she. Sorry if I get that wrong. But the question is, let's see. It takes so many. Now let's not start with that one. When you are, when you're there taking photos, are you I know you use Flash. You can get into Flash in just a little bit here. But are you having to adjust your Flash all the time during a reception, or are you pretty much setting it and forgetting it and adjusting other things?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That, I think they.
For the
I think,
most part, I set it and I'm good to go.
okay.
Yep.
And are you going with like a manual setting, like 1/16th, or are you setting it to fill flash or something like that?
Yeah, that's great. I'm always manual.
Okay.
Yeah, always setting it up manually. There'll be a couple times. There's like two stages of a reception to me. There's like all the stuff that happens prior to dancing, and that's a one setting. And then there's all the stuff that happens once things get bumping and we get a nice party going and we got dance floor shots. That's a different setting.
Okay. And to Kathleen's question, they had a question like this. Kathleen is, I think you take a ton of photos during a wedding. A lot of people do. Have you got any secrets to how you whittle those down to a reasonable number? How do you cull your images?
Yeah, that's a great question.
In what program?
I'm actually about to teach a workshop on workflow at the end of the month.
Awesome.
So I think we have a really baller workflow, and we've needed to, and I've taken a number of workflow workshops myself, and so I feel pretty good about where things are right now with our system. We shoot about 7,000 pictures a wedding.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I know, right? We do it up.
Are you doing it all in RAW?
Oh yeah, yep.
Very cool.
And so narrowing that down to our delivery for our brides is we shoot to aim to shoot.
Aim to shoot.
Whatever. We give around 700 images.
Okay.
What we do. And the reason we take so many, if we're photojournalists and we're trying to capture moments, I have no problem in pulling off 15 shots that are going to be right next to each other, but if it's to capture that perfect memory or that perfect moment where the other 9 didn't do it, I'm cool with that. And I feel like we have a workflow afterwards that we don't kill ourselves in trying to get through those. So, now to answer your question, Kathleen, we call using Photo Mechanic.
I've heard that's so much faster than Lightroom, or give us an idea, like how much faster?
There's like 0 render time. So whenever you open up Lightroom, unless you've rendered like a 1-to-1 preview and you pull up a shot, it's going to have like that 2 to 3 second delay before that shot is. It's kind of like these screens right now where they're like blurry for like a second and then it's. Photo Mechanic, you don't have that. It's raw files that they're just rendered right on the spot, so you can flip through things so quickly. There's a lot more that goes into it apart from. I mean, if you just use Photo Mechanic, it's not like like there's certain techniques in using it, I guess I should say.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's not like the program's going to magically make it like, oh my gosh, it's done, you know?
Right.
But it certainly helps. I couldn't imagine calling in Lightroom. Couldn't imagine doing it. Right now, we can go from 7,000 down to 700 in about 2 hours.
Okay. That's awesome.
Wow, that is fast. And I know to do that in Lightroom would take a long time just to render the one-to-ones.
Yes.
Because I have a really fast system, and it still takes a long time to render one-to-ones.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so then after Photo Mechanic, you guys bring everything into Lightroom?
Yeah. So after Photo Mechanic, we just drag those over, pull them into Lightroom, and we import, like we were just talking about, import all your pictures at 1-to-1 preview. There's a little checkbox here when you go to import. You could choose like minimal, I think is the default, or maybe it's standard or something. But choose 1-to-1 and then walk away, because it's going to take like, when you import 700 pictures, it'll take a couple hours, at least a couple hours.
Yes.
I thought it'd take like a day. But
I can try to do it and look at it the next morning.
Yes,
So
and I almost always do it overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say if you're using Lightroom, you really want to render those one-to-ones, because it will go really slow if you don't. I've got 2 SSDs in here that are pretty fast, and it still takes a while.
No.
If you haven't rendered those one-to-ones, it's just painful.
Yeah.
So Photo Mechanic, is that what you said?
Correct. Yeah, Photo Mechanic.
Is
Not an
that
expensive piece
from
of software.
Camera Bits?
Say that
Camera
again?
Bits the name of the company? Because I found Photo Mechanic, and I'm assuming that's what this is. Software at the center of your workflow.
I don't know who makes it. That's a great question. I should take a look here. It looks jank. I'm going to say that. They need to work on their
I just
the
put a link
presentation.
in the in chat. I don't know if that's the one, Mike.
Yeah, camera bits. That's it. Yeah, the program. Oh, wait, let me make sure here. Yeah, it's photo mechanic. Yep. Um, the program's ugly. I'm gonna be honest. It's not very aesthetically pleasing, but it gets the job done.
So it gets the job done pretty fast,
Yeah.
and then is it just a culling software, or is it also editing?
No, it's strictly culling, which is actually so important to separate your culling from your editing, because what does everybody do? They're flipping through their 7,000 pictures, and they, on like picture number 10 of 7,000, they see one that they like. And in Lightroom, they go over to develop, and they start messing with it. And now it's like 10 minutes later, and they're like, oh yeah, I got to keep culling. And then you call, and you get 15 more pictures down the road, and you see another one that you love, and you start messing with it. And it's really helpful to have a program that doesn't allow you to embrace those temptations of messing with pictures before it's time. So, yeah, just culling.
Well, yeah,
So,
if you're
I
knocking
really
off
like
90% of your
that.
pictures, you're knocking 90% of your pictures off. Yeah, this is a great way to do it. Versus saying, oh, let me go edit that picture, and if you really don't have anything else to do, it's great move.
so
That gets me every time, and then like I'll sit there and edit 2 or 3 pictures or 4 pictures, and then have to step away and then come back the next day, and I'm still not done culling because I got away from culling and I just started editing the 1 or 2 pictures that I was really excited about, and what a waste of time.
Yep.
Now I know in Lightroom, depending on how you cull, I use the X and P, the flag.
Yep.
So that actually tags it in Lightroom, so you now can filter based on that. How is it tagging it in Photo Mechanic if you later want to use it in Lightroom? It seems like if it doesn't tag it using something Lightroom can read, when you go to pull it up in Lightroom, you're still going to have all 7,000 images.
It's a great question. So first off, I use a star system. So instead of Xing or plussing it or whatever, stars. And Photo Mechanic has a 5-star system like Lightroom, and those stars transfer over.
Oh, there you go.
You might I think there's a setting you have to make sure you set between the two to make sure that they talk together. But your stars should transfer over. In saying that, though, I will never bring in all 7,000 pictures into Lightroom. I just find when you start doing that, you have a catalog that's full of all these images, and it bogs. I try to keep my catalogs. I have a catalog for every shoot that I do. So instead of having a master one, each shoot has its own separate catalog. So that way, it's kind of like a well-oiled machine. It's not getting bogged down with all that other stuff.
You're only loading the one catalog that you have to work with.
Correct.
And so Lightroom's not having to process anything else but that one catalog of 700 some images.
Correct, yes. And those other, 6,300, I hate math. I don't delete them, but I don't even bother bringing them in. I don't need to see where they are. Like, they'll stay on a backup drive somewhere if something awful happens. I don't know. But they don't need to be in Lightroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Kathleen, Tim, we need to try and get these guys to come on the show.
The Photo Mechanic guys?
Yeah. We do. I did book Topaz Labs, by the way.
Oh, great. Finally.
Yes, finally.
Okay. So Ben, let's move on. So now we're in Lightroom, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you guys do a lot of editing and then syncing images. Is that correct? Since, it's a wedding, right?
AutoSync is your best friend, yes.
I love AutoSync. Now, all of your images have, to me, like a very matte look to them, and I really love it. It looks finished and polished.
Thank you.
Is this something that you're doing specifically in Lightroom to get that look, or are you then moving things into Photoshop?
I never go into Photoshop. Maybe one picture per wedding, if that. I'll take it to Photoshop. And that's if I am in love with this picture and there's a Coke can that's like ruining everything. Lives are ruined because of this Coke can.
Right.
When that's happening, then I'll take it to Photoshop.
You guys are my best friends because I am there with Lightroom right now where I feel like it can do everything that I absolutely need it to, and there's absolutely no apparent need for Photoshop unless of the Coke can or unless I'm doing a composite of some sort, something like that.
If only someone had told you about Lightroom, Kathleen.
If only.
Yeah, how long did it take us to
Mike
convince
told you
you?
about Lightroom.
So do you
It took
guys
us like
think
9
you
months to
can
convince
that?
us.
Sorry, two people spoke. What was that?
All right, go ahead, Tim.
I think it took 9 months to convince you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a huge learning curve. And as a photographer, when you feel like you've gotten your arms finally around a system that you feel like is working, even if someone is telling you it's so much faster, it's so much faster, it's so much faster, it takes a while, at least for me, for my mind to break from that and say, okay, I'm going to commit to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my mentorships this past week, I was going through Lightroom and teaching it to somebody, and she was like, I don't know how I'm going to break my habit of taking everything into Photoshop. And so I told her to go out and shoot one session specifically for Lightroom that she promised herself she wouldn't edit it anywhere else but Lightroom, just of her daughter. So it wasn't like a client that she was working with. And so that's kind of how I got started. I would just take a few pictures of my kids and commit to stay in Lightroom and try and do everything I possibly could in Lightroom or learn how to do it if I felt like I was missing something.
It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So do you guys have a bunch of presets that you've created, or do you feel like you edit every image pretty much the same way?
It's a great question. Our presets, we don't have a bunch of like glitter sunlight preset or like these the really dramatic presets. Our value with photography is that the images be timeless. We never want our brides to look back at their shots 10 years from now and be like, oh man, remember when sepia was cool? Or like vintage, like remember that was in. We really want to have a really clean look to our images. A lot of the presets that we have, they're very basic. They're presets, but they're not like full like looks.
They're to speed up your workflow. They're not to completely cover your image with different things.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then a lot of our presets too, we've made them in a way. Man, I'm gonna go off on a rabbit trail if I start talking about presets too much. I'm just gonna say this one. There's a good way to make a preset. There's a bad way to make a preset. And this is even talking about like really cool like looks, right? Like there's a good way to make a sepia look preset where it won't, oh man, it's a rabbit trail. I'm not going to go down it. Go to my workshop. We'll talk about presets.
So I don't know if this is what you're going towards, but you know, Lightroom is broken up into, you have the top, which I'm not looking at it right now, I should probably pull it up, but you have the top, which is basically like your black and white points and your exposure adjustments, right? And
Correct.
then underneath that you have like clarity and saturation and vibrance. And then under that you have like your tone curve, and under that you have, you know, your split toning. Okay. So like the great thing that I love about Lightroom is that I can create a preset that only affects just my split toning. And so I can edit the image the way that I need for it to look with my white and the black points set perfectly and my exposure perfect on that image. Then all of a sudden I'm just like, I want something a little more. Ooh, that split toning that I did in that preset would look great. And so I click it, and the only thing it changes on the image is the shadows and the highlights just ever so slightly to give it that extra touch, and then you move on. But everything else is just a clean edit image.
Correct, yeah.
That's what I love about Lightroom. Where Photoshop, it's kind of like when you run an action, to unpack that action, there's a lot going on. I feel like Lightroom just did it in a more simplistic way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like there's presets that people are even selling that they're not built properly, in that they actually alter your basic settings, where there may be adjusting white balance in order to change color tone, and you can't do that universally to images.
Right.
But anyhow, you said it yourself. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
job.
You can get your image technically correct and then just touch the little thing that's going to give it that extra punch without screwing up your white balance or your exposure and making that now incorrect.
Correct. Yep.
And Ben, we had a question out in chat. People have been going through your website, I guess, as we're talking. And there's a question about one photo that is different from the others. It's a bride and groom, and it's out of focus. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. It's the couple from Hawaii. Yep.
Yeah, and
I saw that question. I laughed. Why is that? Because it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you, man. I love that shot.
Thank you. No, it's interesting. It does. It breaks the rules, right? I mean, generally, if all your pictures you give the bride and groom are out of focus, you're in trouble. But there's something that's actually really interesting about that shot. I love the way he's looking over, like kind of over his shoulder. He kind of looks a little upset or something. There's something interesting about it. And just that that tree is in focus kind of right behind him. And it's just engaging. It's interesting. It challenges the viewer. You better believe I also have that shot where they're in focus, too. Yeah. But I don't want to show that on my website. I want to show the pictures that I think are interesting and engaging and the type of shots that I want to create.
Yeah, and I think,
that's smart.
We've said before, or I've said before, it's good to know the rules before you break the rules. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going through your site, you obviously get to this image, and Lady, I'll just say Lady, I don't know what the rest of the thing there is, but she obviously picked this one out because she's going through your site, and this one stands out.
Yeah.
So it's not like you went to somebody's site and go, oh, look at this. Every shot they took is out of focus. They don't know what they're doing. It's obvious you guys know what you're doing, and this was intentional as something creative.
A lot of photographers talk about finding the right brides, the right couples, and they'll use contact forms as a way to filter out the right brides to them, asking questions in contact forms like, how interested are you in having me be your photographer on a scale of 1 to 10? If they're under 5, they're not even going to contact that person. Mm-hmm. Or putting your price up there. But I feel like I want to make sure that we're presenting imagery that is some of it's on the more challenging side of things. I really view it as art. I don't want to ever shoot a wedding where we show up and we take shots like that because we think they're interesting, and the couple's like, what is this? I didn't expect this. I didn't see this anywhere. We want them to see this is stuff we think is pretty cool, and this is how we shoot.
Mm-hmm. I think it's smart to put it out there so people know when they walk in, look, they're going to give me the in-focus images, and look how cool this is. They're also going to do out of focus and not be scared of it. And that way they know ahead of time so that when you throw it in there, they're just not like, oh, they didn't mean to put that in. They know it's intentional for you, and there's an artistic approach that goes along with it. Are you guys using a tilt-shift lens in some of your pictures?
It's a great question. Yes, with some we're tilt-shifting. With some we are free-lensing. Are you familiar with free?
Yeah, tell me what that is.
Awesome. You don't know. That's great. It's exciting. Free lensing is where you take your lens off of your camera and you take a picture.
You take your lens off the camera?
And you take a picture.
With no lens at all?
So there's a gap in between. There's a gap in between your lens and the body. You're holding it in front of it.
Say that again?
You're holding the lens in front of the body. It's not attached.
Holding the lens in front of the body. And then you're tilting that plane of focus, right? And so in order to create a tilt shift effect, you tilt that. Oh, hold on, I have to do this in front of the camera. You tilt that plane of focus. So when you angle your lens in any direction, you're going to be able to control your focus in a selective way.
Shut up right now.
Kathleen.
There's problems with it. It's scary. It's not for the faint of heart. You're shooting.
I'm not faint of heart. I am pregnant.
There's another term for that, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Kathleen, they're making fun of us out in chat that you and I don't know what that is.
I've never heard of it.
Me neither. So I'm there with you.
Lady G Photography says it's like lens baby. Yes. it's like any sort of tilt shift lens, except you don't have a casing for that gap. You're just kind of going with it.
Cheaper.
It's tricky.
Hello.
It is cheaper. You have to use like a 50 millimeter or longer in order to do it. 85 is awesome with it. 85 millimeter is what I love, especially like an 85 1.2, 1.4. It works great. You can even do like macro stuff with it. But there's not only the risk of having...
macro is when you flip it around, right?
No, you can also change, let's say your minimum focus distance with the lens is like 12 inches.
Okay.
When you free lens with it, you can effectively get closer, maybe like 6 inches or something like that.
Wow.
But apart from the risk of having dust fall in,
right,
on multiple occasions, my lens has actually like hit the mirror as the mirror flips up. Does that make sense?
That sounds scary.
Stop the mirror. It's scary. I've done it like 15 times or so. And I think probably got a little scratch in my mirror or something, but whatever. I got the shot. But there's things you got to be concerned. You know, it's...
How do you focus? How do you focus without a lens on there?
It's a great question. It's tricky. You have to use one hand, like this hand's holding the lens, and you're focusing with these two fingers.
Focus,
this
right.
kind of holding the body. It's really a weird dance, and you have to practice it.
Are you saying I can't get my autofocus to work with the lens off?
Yeah, no autofocus. You need to have all your settings set.
Tim got that.
You need to have all your settings set prior to taking the lens off.
Yeah.
So I usually mess with it, get the right lighting, pull off a shot. You'll get all kinds of cool light leaks in through that gap.
I'm so excited. You have like sparked something. I'm so excited. So what I'm thinking in my head is that you get your exposure correct and you even autofocus correctly. And you go ahead and take a shot. And then you don't move anything. You just take your lens off. So that way if you have to just focus a little bit, you're not like way out in left field. You're just tweaking.
You will, I mean, you're pretty much always out in left field once you take your lens off and start.
You're twisting it so much that, okay.
Yeah, park the heck with left field. I just don't get it. How does the mirror actually hit the lens?
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I was actually tilting it so far, and I was actually inside of that box.
No, it's still touching it's already touching the camera inside at an angle.
Yeah. Yep.
Are any of the images that you sent me using that technique?
I don't think so. I don't believe so, Mike.
So you guys don't actually have tilt shift lenses? This is all that technique that you're using?
So yeah, we actually just have we just ordered the Canon's 24L.
Okay, yeah.
Shift. So that's on its way, but no, prior to that, I've just been messing with stuff.
Well, in comparison to what you've been doing, having a tilt shift lens is going to be like shooting with a regular lens for you.
Yeah.
Because you have so much practice doing both and holding both. That's insane. I love it.
Thanks.
The image, if I can get it to come up again. No, I'm not going to be able to get it.
What is it called again?
Freelancing.
What about this image here of the people that look like that the reception?
Yeah, the one where he's smacking her butt.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't see that, but I guess that's what's happened.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that is. I'm dragging the shutter there.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what other.
And then you hit the flash to freeze the action.
Yeah, so I have two speed lights on that shot. I have one on camera, 45 degrees up to my right. I have then a light that is backlighting it that you can see here in the one with the girls crying with her dad. We have another one of our speed lights, usually behind the subject or 45 degrees behind them, and that's just a little kicker back there, a separation light. Yeah, usually like 1/25th, 1/50th of a second, and the whole reception am doing this and flipping the thing around and
just seeing what you can get. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I know, Ben, you wanted to talk a little bit about Flash. You hinted about it right there. You wanted to talk something about Flash tonight, and as you know, we're getting up on our hour, so I wanted to give you a chance to talk about how you guys use Flash in your wedding photography.
Yeah, that's a great question. Mike, when we had our pre-show, I kind of brought up this idea of we've encountered a lot of photographers. We see a lot of photographers, wedding photographers I'm talking specifically to right now, who will often think of themselves as natural light wedding photographers. And they make beautiful work, but I really don't think that that term should exist in like the professional field of like a natural light wedding photographer. I just don't understand that, to be honest, because what do you do when it rains and you don't have natural light, when you're stuck indoors, or how do you capture a reception effectively? There's just so many variables where needing to understand and use off-camera flash, it's like, yeah, it's a must. It's like having a camera on a wedding. And I'm talking about weddings here. There's all types of photography where it's not a critical thing, but we feel really strongly about it.
Yeah, I mean, used properly. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It does complicate things a little bit, so you need to practice before you go out and do your first wedding with
Well,
them.
and I agree with you what you were saying about how it's a must. And like how there's certain types of photography where you can get away with it more than you could like in the wedding field. Absolutely. I know that for years, because I didn't understand any kind of like studio light or off-camera flash and all that kind of stuff just really intimidated me. I labeled myself as a natural light newborn photographer because that's what I was comfortable with and nothing else. But the problem arose when I was booking so much and then a rainy day would come up and I felt like I would have to reschedule, and here I am trying to photograph these kids within the first 10 days of life, and I'm already booked for the month. Yeah. So that's when I kind of like rubber had to meet the road, and I said I gotta like buck up and brave up and learn how to do this. Yeah. And like now that I am by no means well versed on indoor lighting, but ever since I've dipped my toe into it and I'm not scared of it anymore, I kind of kick myself for not learning it sooner. Yeah. And just knowing it, because it's not that scary. It's actually very fun and interesting, and it gives a whole other creative side to photography.
Yeah, it's creative freedom. Absolutely, creative freedom. That's like, I think it's really why we started down the route of pursuing learning flashes to have more creative freedom on a day, to make images that can turn a space that just looks like garbage into something like.
And you get that at weddings. You're just like, all right, we got the reception hall at the church that's really in like a warehouse. How do we make this look like a fun environment? That's where your lights come in.
And when when you go into a reception, I know you're bringing in your lights and everything. Are you also bumping your ISO? Are you trying to stay at a certain ISO level or below a certain ISO level, or?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think too much. Maybe I don't think too much about ISO because it's like ingrained, and so I don't have to think about it too much. But I guess it's not my very first question. I mean, I'm shooting on a camera that you can go up pretty high on ISO, 5D Mark III. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable taking that, 32 higher. What I do when I walk into a reception is I will first meter for the ambient light one stop under, okay? And so I'll set my shutter speed at like 1/100th, 1/80th, something like that. 1 over my focal length. Usually I'm shooting with like an 85 or something during the first half, so I'll try to be at like 1/80th to 1/100th of a second on my shutter speed. And then my aperture, I pretty much always shoot wide open, like 1.2, 1.4 all day long.
Wow.
So I'll go to 1.4, and then I'll see what I need to do with the ISO in order to make that shot one stop under for the ambient light, okay? That way, my background is always going to be a little bit darker than the subject of the photograph. And so I have my flash on camera and it's not pointing like this, it's up here, and it's going to be bouncing off of walls and coming back, and it's going to be, filling in. I'll do that manually, but essentially exposing the subject to be the proper exposure and the brightest, most interesting part of the scene.
Yeah. Now your flash, and you're Canon, I believe, right?
Correct.
So I imagine Canon and Nikon are similar in their flashes.
Mm-hmm.
On a Nikon flash, you can have it on manual, where you can tell it, full power, 1/2 power, 1/8, and so on, or you can set it on, TTL, which is doing its own metering,
Yep.
or then something where it's trying to do TTL balance fill, where it's trying to fill in do a balance fill. How are you setting your flash?
It's a great question. I never use TTL because it's stupid. It doesn't. I mean, it tries to make up stuff, and it's wrong a lot of times. And I often overheat my flash in a reception when I'm at TTL, because it sees something dark, and it blasts in all this light, and my flash is burning out. I want to have control over the light. I want to see results that are replicated and reproduced. And Kathleen, this gets into our editing style. I never want to be on TTL because that flash is going to go off a little bit different each time, and that exposure on that frame is going to be different. And so now when I bring that into Lightroom, I can no longer sync all those images.
Yeah, you're screwed.
So everything is always on some sort of manual setting. Even white balance is always on a manual setting for us. But anyhow, so we'll have, maybe Leslie, our assistant. We always have an assistant with us. Our assistant will go stand out there, and I'll just turn on my, speed light on camera. I always start it at 30-second power. Pull off a shot. We have digital. We don't need light meters, people. We don't need to have this light meter out there measuring stuff. Mm-hmm. Take a picture. Look at your frame. Turn it down or up. Take another picture. You got it.
Yeah, most of what I shoot is either sports or landscape, so I don't use flash nearly as much. Mm-hmm. But this last weekend, it was the final, so during they broke it up every 4 different times and had award ceremonies, and then I'd pop a flash on there on the camera, and I was doing something similar where I would do measure the ambient light, come in slightly under it, and then hit the flash. I think I set it to 1/8 power or something like that. And then I was adjusting I was actually adjusting my aperture because what is it? Aperture controls flash, shutter speed controls ambient, right?
Well, aperture is going to control both. Your shutter speed will only control the ambient. Your shutter speed will not affect your flash.
Yeah, so it's the flash, it's the shutter, the aperture that is affecting how much flash is coming in. So I think how that was working.
And it'll affect your ambient light.
Yeah. So I was able to get to a mix where it lit them up, but did not look like a flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's similar to what you're doing, not quite the good quality that you do.
Wow.
So do y'all shoot with your flash? You said you had it pointed at an angle, so you have it on the hot shoe then?
Yeah, on the hot shoe, it's never straightforward. I don't think I've ever had my flash straightforward. Yeah, I'm always bouncing that light. That light is always bouncing off of a wall, off of a person, off of a pillar, off of a corner of a room, and coming back in big and wide and soft.
Any kind of diffuser or anything on there? Or are you going bare flash?
No.
Because you're bouncing it, you don't need to.
Yeah, all those Gary Fong diffusers and stuff, they're really inefficient with light, and they actually don't give any direction with light. Right? Even right now, this light that I'm using, it's kind of coming down at this nice angle, and it's creating these great shadows here. A Gary Fong diffuser is just going to kind of shoot light in every direction.
Right.
And then also reduce the power, and so now my power of my flash is going to have to go up. And it's going to overheat quicker. So no, always bare bulb.
So 7,000 images. I imagine you don't use flash for every single one of them,
Oh, no.
but probably for quite a few. You're probably hundreds of them that you're flashing.
Yeah.
Are you changing out battery packs, or do you have a special battery pack attached to you that is helping you power that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first off, the type of batteries you use is important. We use these little Sunyo
Hmm.
batteries. I forget what they're
I've
called.
seen those, yeah.
Yeah, Sanyus. They're XX series. It might be 3Xs. I didn't want to say that on this because that sounds weird. But I'm pretty sure it's 3Xs. Well, whatever. They're black. These black rechargeable batteries. They're boss. Complete boss. They're expensive, but get them. They're boss. And then we also have a little battery pack. It holds 8 more of those in it. So we have 4 in camera. There we go. Envelopes. Thanks, Brooks, buddy. Sorry, Brooks is on here. He's a good friend. Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Envelopes. There you go. These black envelopes, XXX. So yeah, then we also use a battery pack. It has 8 more of them in it, and it's light. It's small. It's like this big. Keep it in your pocket, and that'll make it through pretty much the entire day. Maybe at the end of the reception, if I'm being super ambitious, I will, change it out. But Mike, this gets back to your ISO question. I don't fear turning my ISO up. And if it's a question of am I going to run the risk of turning my flash up really high in order to compensate to get that fill, and then overheat my speed light, and then miss the shot, because it's just overheated. Instead, I'll rather turn my ISO up so the flash doesn't have to work as hard. I can run it at a lower power and keep shooting the entire night.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So are you guys doing your noise reduction control in Lightroom?
We are. Yep.
And what are your typical numbers that you're running for like luminance or the color or the contrast?
Yeah, it's a great question. So again, we're on 5D Mark IIIs.
I am too.
Noise it's not something I fear. It's not crazy. It all depends on the ISO. So with Lightroom, you can organize your photographs based off of your metadata. And so after we're all done editing, I will then go back in the library mode. You can go to metadata, organize them based off your ISO. And so I can actually see what pictures I've shot at ISO 5000.
Okay, right.
Just view those, and maybe those I'll give, I couldn't tell you a number offhand, more than less.
Yeah, just wherever it looks comfortable to you.
Yeah. And then I can go back to the library and view the pictures that I've taken at ISO 1600 or less. And on the 5D Mark III, that's like nothing as far as noise is concerned. And so just give it a tiny bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's all variable depending on the ISO.
Awesome.
Now, I noticed maybe this is more in your engagement sessions or something like that, where it looks like you have multiple flashes set up.
Yeah.
Are you always using speed lights, or are you ever using like strobes?
No. So most of the time, when we get into our creative portraiture, like we have a ProPhoto D1 Air 1000, 1000 watt seconds. It's like beast mode. I think I said beast mode. I don't know how many times now. Total beast mode. But it's a really powerful light. And again, we talk about creative control. We can use this light in high noon and make it look like it's nighttime. You can use this light in the most incredible ways and not fear the sun. Actually, real quick, one of the grooms that we're shooting for next year is in a band called Don't Fear the Sun. Needed to say that. Shout out. Okay, cool. So anyhow, so for that shot, Mike, is it one where you're seeing like a lens star or like a light kind of star flare go off?
Yeah.
What's happening there is we're underexposing the shot and then filling it in with this, I'm using it right now as a light, so I keep pointing at me, using the modeling lamp on it. But we're using that light to fill back in. It's softbox, it's nice soft light. You can see it on me right now, it's soft light. And then those little tiny 600, we use the Canon 600s, those little 600s, they could be up to full power, 1-to-1 ratio, full power. it's not going to do anything, like, because we're underexposing so much, but these pro photo lights are so powerful, it won't actually add light to the shot, but it's going to create this really awesome star. And we just use it for creative elements, backlighting, kickers, stuff like that.
Do you ever add gels or any kind of thing to the flash to add color or something like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Receptions we do. In order to kind of, we'll CTO gel some of our strobes on occasion. So far with creative portraiture, I haven't gotten into that. I'm excited to, though. It's something that I think we're going to mess around more and more with. I've been thinking about more and more. But right now, no.
So since Les is not here right now and can't defend herself, who's the more creative, you or Les?
No, that's baloney.
You do not have to answer that. If I was looking through the website the other day, so I'm not going to make you answer that. Looking through the website, your website the other day, and Ben is like a model husband. I know I cannot let my wife ever look at your website, but Kathleen, I'll go ahead and tell you anyway.
Okay.
So you ever hear how you get kicked out, the husband gets kicked out and has to sleep on the couch, right?
Right.
Well, I guess there's times whenever Les goes to sleep on the couch, and guess where Ben sleeps? On the floor next to her.
Aww.
What a great guy.
Aww.
He's also currently reading the book The Hobbit, right?
Yeah, we actually just got through part 1 of it. I'm calling it part 1. It's not actually broken up into parts, but I'm a big geek at heart. I love Lord of the Rings and things like that. And so before the movie came out, we were reading it. So who said creep? LOL. She's my wife.
That's his wife.
Geek photography. Oh yes. Anyhow,
Okay, so I have a picture. I have a question about a picture, Ben.
Yeah.
There's one. I'm trying to find it again on your website, so maybe I can do a screen share in case you guys don't have it. But it's under your weddings, and it's primarily a green image. There's a lot of green in it, so it's outdoors. And there's a tree splitting right down the center, and then on one side is the bride and one side is the groom.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything is out of focus except for the bride and the groom, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how you did that. Oh, found it.
Tell me. And hey, Ben, she was just kidding about that.
Oh no, I know. I was just kidding too.
I'm gonna do a screen share so you guys can see it. So hold on a second.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If you tell me where it's at, I can go get it, and it'll be better. It'll show up better.
Oh, okay. Well, can you guys see it?
I can, but it's not going to show up very well.
Okay, cool. That shot.
Was it under wedding or under engagement?
It's under wedding.
Let me see if I can find it while you all are talking.
And it's almost all the way down towards the bottom.
All right. Well, let me go down toward the bottom.
So while he's pulling that up, I'm gonna go ahead and start to explain that. That shot is actually some of our earlier work. That's one from an earlier shot of ours, and I actually used a plugin for that in Lightroom that allows you to mess around with creating that blur plane, kind of like Instagram, right? Instagram, you can like do that a little bit. So there's a plugin we used to have, and I'm trying to recall what it's called. We don't use it.
Kathleen, go ahead and share it again while I'm looking for it, so people can.
Let me see if I can find out what that plugin is called. Okay.
Well, what I was thinking. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
What I was thinking that you possibly did is did 2 separate tilt shift shots, one of the groom, one of the bride, and then composited them together in Photoshop. That was going to be my guess.
No, it's still all in Lightroom. It was with a plugin, but honestly, that's a shot right there.
It's a Lightroom plugin?
Yeah, that's a shot right there, though, that a tilt shift lens would effectively create. Because a tilt shift lens is gonna angle that plane.
Right, and like the center of the tree is more in focus than the top and the bottom, but you obviously have your focus points on either the bride or the groom.
Yeah, so it's shot at like f22 or something like that, where everything would have normally been in focus had it not been for if this were a tilt shift lens, had it not been for the angle of plane of focus. But this was, everything was in focus on this shot. And then using that plugin. It was from the name of the company is like right on the tip of my tongue. One photo one something one. I don't know. Anyhow, I actually found it to be too heavy-handed these days, and so we don't edit with it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this shot, but it's interesting how you creatively go through different phases of what like appeals to you, and then what all of a sudden looks like, why was I doing that? But I do like this shot. But I could see how something like this, if you owned the plugin, you'd be feel the pressure to use it more often than just every once in a while, right? And then that's probably why it maybe started feeling very heavy-handed to you.
Yeah.
I got it, Kathleen. So you can stop sharing.
Okay, cool.
What was the name of that software we gave away when Scott Wyden was on?
I want to say it was like On Focus or something, or
On One.
On One.
On One.
Yes. I think
that's a part of the On One software.
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. Yep.
So we got it up. Maybe people out in chat can see it a little bit better now, where you can see the bride and groom, and I kind of have your here. I'll hide your face for just a second, so we don't have that. So now you can just see the photo here in just a second, and there you can see the trees in focus, the bride and groom in focus, but everything else looks like it's that tilt shift action going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on your site that would show that technique of the free lensing?
Yeah, let me take a look here. You know, I wanna jump back to the
Flash.
No. Actually, I want to kind of jump back to this our website and the story of you know, when Les is upset or we get in a fight and you know,
okay.
I stay there.
Did I tell that story bad?
Half distracted. I want to jump back to that because within wedding photography, couple husband and wife teams is becoming really popular. If not husband and wife teams, girlfriend and boyfriend teams, and it really is this thing that is happening a lot. And for Leslie and myself, the priority on a wedding day, when Les and I go to shoot a wedding, my priority has to be to care for Leslie first. And if it's not, the day sucks. Mm-hmm. And the images are going to suck. They might not suck, but making them is going to suck. And there's going to be things we're going to miss. Mm-hmm. It's like part of this job in a way is caring for your spouse. Like for Les and I, it's like that has to be my first objective. Anytime I've gone into a wedding where I'm thinking like my goal is to get this shot at all costs, and if that cost means Les's discomfort, I'm short with her or something, when that happens, and it does on occasion, right? It happens. Like it's never worth it. It makes things so much more difficult. Mm-hmm. When there's times where I'll take the extra 5 to 10 minutes to make sure that that Leslie's cared for, whatever that looks like, that we're just having a moment where we're calmed down, we put our lenses down, we take a deep breath, we tell each other, this is going to be good, you're doing awesome, I love you, let's have a quick snack, like, and we'll move on. Like, it's times when those things happen where it works. And it's important, I think, when you work with your spouse, it's important to put them prior to the photographs, and in the end, you'll end up having better photographs. That's not why you do it. Yeah. But in the end, it just so happens that you'll have better photographs.
I think in life in general, your attitude can really affect what you're doing, and in this case, even more so because you're husband and wife. You got to go home together, and you're trying to be creative at the same time. So I think if you two were having an argument and you're in a bad mood, it not only is going to affect you when you get home, but it can affect your work.
Right.
It makes life easier. I will say here, Ben, and we're showing Les. Les isn't able to come on tonight. She does take a better photo than you. That's not the most glamorous photo of Ben.
I understand, and I will acknowledge that. I will give her that award. She is a beauty beyond compare. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Mike. Yep.
And what I would say is, you have a great. I love your little video you have up top here. So when you go to Ben and Les's site, which is just benandles.com, watch their video, and then I love the photos that you guys have added of you guys over the years.
Oh yeah.
So it helps, even including baby photos. And one of the questions I asked when I was doing the pre-show is, you guys have known each other since babies, and you haven't.
No. No.
But the fact that you're showing some of your personal side to your potential clients and showing how happy you two are together helps. I would think helps sell some people on that.
Yeah. People value being able to relate with us, and again, we get to relate with them. I think it's you have to have this. I mean, what do I want to say? A lot of people can take good pictures, and I think you have to be able to provide couples with more than just I take good pictures. And there's an experience and a care along the way that goes with that, and we try to present that to our couples in any way that we can. I
gotta tell you, in this photo, you look like you're 16.
I probably was.
But I really love going through those photos, and I would recommend people go through that. And your site in general, the way you display the images are just fantastic. I love the photos.
I'm going through right now, and I'm trying to find one of those free lensing shots for you guys. So it's just taking a minute to load on my end. I'll let you know if I find something. Okay?
And while you're doing that, somebody put on one software. Yeah, we had given away some of that earlier when Scott Wyden was on the show. But you mentioned y'all, and you said y'all are almost done reading The Hobbit. From what I understand, you're reading it to her as y'all go to bed each night.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a dork at heart.
I think that puts you in a different level of husband. I mean, that's just awesome.
Character voices and all, man. Character voices and all. And there's a lot of dwarves in that book. they aren't that, it's really hard to differentiate between 11 dwarves.
I did find something, though, on your website that does not go together. It's an oxymoron, and it causes for concern.
Let's hear it.
It's your phrase that you can love Dexter and Jesus at the same time.
Really? How is that an oxymoron?
Oh my gosh. That show creeps me out.
That show is badass. It's awesome.
It is. I cannot handle it.
That's funny. That's funny. No, but I think that there's a reason that we said that, right? I mean, there's a lot of shows that we like. There's a lot of things that are enjoyable to us. Our faith is really important to Leslie and I. Before we were wedding photographers, we did campus ministry, and it was a really awesome thing for us, being mentors to students, and yet at the same time, if you just say I love Jesus, I think there's something that it's very
a capsule in a bubble, and the exact opposite of that would be the Dexter show.
Dexter is not the opposite of Jesus.
It does show your well-roundedness. I will say that.
I mean, there's reality. We love that show, and I think that it helps. I think when people can see that there's certain things about culture that we really enjoy, it helps to make our faith a little bit more real.
Yeah.
And
I think us more real, whatever that means. So anyhow,
we got to get you guys we got to get you guys watching the best show on TV.
What's that? Breaking Bad?
No, that is Walking Dead.
Okay, Walking Dead. We have gone through season 1, getting into season 2, but Breaking Bad, that might be the best show on TV. Here we go. So I have found a picture for you guys that is a free lensing shot.
And if you can direct me kind of where to go.
Yeah, man, we need to take down
maybe we can. We've gone a little bit long. I'm sorry, Ben. Maybe we can wrap things up with this photo, unless Kathleen. I don't want to cut Kathleen off too early.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Maybe we can wrap it up when we find this photo and maybe chat for a second about it.
It's on our engagement section.
Okay.
There's a picture above it of some shoes and a couple walking away on a beach.
Oh, I had just seen that one a while ago.
Oh, it's such a great shot.
I love that shot. Because when I was pulling, there it is. There's a shoe.
Okay, below the shoe one, there's a black and white one with a sparkler going on in the background.
Yep.
And the next one is a free lens shot. It's a couple kind of forehead to forehead, real intimate, moody gray colors.
I'm going to bring it in here in just a second. There we go. That one right there?
Let me see. I don't see anything yet.
Yeah.
Yes, that one right there. So that is using free lensing. I love there's like a coldness to this, like this gray quality. It's very intimate. It feels like it just rained. It feels like J. Crew. I love it. Mm-hmm. And there's this blurring that's happening across, the top of her hair. It's coming across his shirt, her hand, and that's just tilting that plane of focus, and it's drawing the viewer's eye right where you want.
Yeah, and if you can't see this very well in the chat, make sure you go to their website. But I can see it even in the chat. I'm looking, and I can see the original photo. You can see the blur around her hair. You can see it in his hair, and then down below around her hand, you can definitely see all that blur that's happening. That's pretty cool. And creating that fog. It looks like it's foggy. What was the conditions actually like?
They were. It was very cold that day. It was so windy, incredibly cold. That day I captured what I call the saddest engagement shot that Les and I have ever taken. The wind was so in her face that she was crying because of her eyes were watering because of the wind. And it was just a really cold, chilly kind of autumn day. And
did you do some split toning to enhance that?
You know what? I think I clipped the blacks. A little bit. It looks like those blacks are looking more towards gray rather than a neutral black. So I think those blacks got clipped.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, we really appreciate you coming out tonight. And sorry Les couldn't make it. We do hope she feels better. Yeah. And we really, there's so many more questions I wanted to ask and get into.
I know. I want to keep talking.
But good. Hopefully you had a great time. We can have you back at some point, and hopefully Les can make it at that time. I know you guys are busy, and we almost had to. We did actually reschedule for I think sometime in March because you had an opportunity tonight that we needed to move the show because one of the things when we get great photographers like you guys is y'all are constantly busy, which is good for you, obviously, but makes scheduling a little bit of a challenge. And that thing got moved, so you're able to come tonight. That worked out great. We're glad you're able to come tonight, and we'll have to talk and have you come back at some point in the future and continue the conversation and have Les on too.
People are asking for information about web workshops.
Oh yeah.
That's a great question.
Any information on your website in regards to it?
Yeah, right now we've just kind of hinted at it on Facebook. There's going to be more details on our website and on Facebook. There's going to be a workshop section on our website here hopefully in the next couple weeks. We're going to be doing a lot more workshops down the road. Teaching's a passion of ours. So we're looking forward to doing that. So keep an eye out on Facebook. I think our Facebook link is somewhere on this chat thing. Go ahead and find us on Facebook, like our page, and you'll be able to find all the updates there. But it's going to be, like a solid day-long workshop. We're going to go a whole day, starting in camera. In order to have a solid workflow, you have to start in camera and take a great image there. And we're going to talk a lot about what that means and how we do that. And anyhow.
And and speaking of Facebook and your website, and we'll put these links in the show notes. But for people who maybe listen to this on audio or who are not going to come out to the website and look at the show notes, where can people find you? What is your best way to find you?
Best way to find us. It's a great question, Mike. Best way to find us is just go to benandless.com. A-N-D, not like an ampersand. So benandless.com. From there, you can get linked to our Facebook page, our Twitter account, email us, contact us, anything like that. But benandless.com would be the best way. Facebook, though, that gets all of our most recent pictures, like next day kind of stuff up there. So that's going to be the most recent up-to-date information.
Okay. Yeah, and again, if you, that's pretty easy to remember, Ben and Les for .com. That's pretty easy to remember. But in case you want to get some of those other direct links, it's on his page, and we'll also have it in the show notes. Kathleen, how can people find you?
KathleenBravePhotography.com, and then same on Facebook.
Okay. And I know Tim and I, you can find us through the Facebook page, the group. And you can do, if you can't remember any of these things, you can always get in touch with any of the hosts or any of the guests by just sending an email to podcast@jpeg2RAW, jpeg2RAW.com. I said that wrong. Podcast@jpeg2RAW.com. You send us an email if you can't remember how to get in touch with them, and we will get in touch with Kathleen or Tim or any of our guests, and pass on your question or comments or anything like that. In mentioning the Facebook group, go out and join our Facebook group. We have a very active membership over there. Almost 700 people in there. Photo contests every month we have photo contests. About to close out this month, and I don't know, Kathleen, if y'all or Tim, have y'all looked at any of the images?
I feel horrible. I have not been on the site in a while. I need to make a point to go on there.
I went through them and I picked a couple that I liked already.
Okay, so the way we do that, Ben, is we have a contest every month, and there's a topic. Generally, there's a topic. This month is actually 2 topics. You put your image in there that's supposed to be taken during that month, and then people like the photo. And the photos that have the top 3 photos based on likes then go to the admins, which is Kathleen, Tim, Gina Perry, who was out there and chat a little bit earlier, maybe still is, and I then vote on those 3 as to which one will be the overall winner. And that winner receives a credit from one of our previous guests. She has a website where she does Photoshop actions, Lightroom actions, all those kind of Lightroom presets, and gives them a credit toward the purchase of something there. We also put them as the cover photo in our Facebook group, and they're we put their photo up here on the podcast, so you can see what it is. And it's just a way to get people to get out there and shoot and maybe do something different than they would have done. And we get some really good shots out there, some really good creative photos. Plus, you get to pick the next month's contest topic. So
it's
very
a lot
good.
Of fun. It's a good way to stretch yourself too, trying to keep up with the different topics that we have.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention again that the show is completely free. We don't do this for money. Kathleen and Tim both get 0 compensation, and for me, it's actually a negative money, as I continue to keep buying stuff apparently. But we do have Amazon, Adorama, and Newegg links on the site. So what we do with any of those funds, if you go to those sites and use our link, we get a small credit, and then that money goes back toward any of the gifts or giveaways that we're going to do. Like I mentioned in the first start of the show, we got to get done with the Michael Clark book and all the shipping and all that's going to be done with that. Then we'll know how much we have, so we can do the next giveaway. And we let the Facebook group vote on what the giveaway will be. So being a member of the Facebook group gives you multiple benefits.
Yes.
Okay. If you're listening to this, you've already got the show, but just in case in the future, the best way to get the show is to probably subscribe on iTunes, or some other thing like that. I use Beyond Pod on my phone. I get all my podcasts on my phone. I think Tim gets them on his phone using another program. What do you use, Tim?
Downcast on my
Downcast. So that way you get them subscribed, and we generally have the show out by maybe the weekend, if not sooner, after the live show. And I think that's all I have on my checklist to go over this week. I would like to mention one thing before we go is, go out to, Kathleen and Tim probably never check this, so I'm going to show it to them now so they can see it. We have a forums. That's probably the only person posted in there is me, but one of the reasons
I've been there once or twice.
You have. One of the reasons to go check it is to see who's coming up. Anytime I book a guest, like when I booked Ben and Les, you could go to, and let me go back to that month. You can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to the calendar, and you can see who's coming up. And you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and see who's coming up. And beyond that, you can go to that month, that date, and as it goes up. If you go and look at the link, not only do you have that Ben and Les are coming, but then you have links to their website and the Facebook group. It won't be every link that we'll have in the show notes, but at least gives you, some information so you can see who's coming up, what are they doing, and what are they all about. Have you ever used that, Kathleen?
Once or twice I have, but usually I just go straight to their website. But
Yeah. So with this, I even put in there who who I'm doing pre-shows with and when I'm doing them. You can't come see those. Those are not published or not, I might record them only for my own thing. So if Ben tells me I want to talk about something, I can go back and say, what did Ben tell me to do? I can go back and look at it, but I never put those out. You never get to see them, but you can see that I'm doing one.
Right.
And you can see who's coming up. So it's a great place to go and check out if you want to see who's coming up next. And speaking of that, next week is what, the 5th?
Yes, it is.
February 5th?
Michelle Moore.
Yeah.
We have Michelle Moore coming up next week.
Right. Awesome.
So be sure to come and check us next week. And
Hey, Michael Moore.
no, not Michael Moore.
Okay.
We had Michael Moore. No, not Michael Moore.
Michael Clark.
We had Michael Clark last week. I'm all confused now.
It's cool. I'm being dumb.
No, I got the joke.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. I was like, oh no, this is just hanging out there.
No, I got the joke. So anyway, it's a good place to go and check and see. Somebody asked, when is Topaz? Topaz is March something. I don't know. Jeannie, you need to go and check the website. March 26th is when Topaz is coming on, and they will be giving us stuff to give away, live on a show and afterwards too. So lots coming up.
You got 4 vacation days in here. Who gave them to you?
Those are those show dates. I have 4 vacation days that are non-show dates, right?
Yeah, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. I don't understand. You didn't give us vacation.
We do miss a show every now and then, but I think those were like non-show dates.
Yeah, they're non-show dates.
I will say that in April, Ben, do you guys do this full time?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, well, no, I shouldn't. Yes, we do. I'm just going to
Okay.
say that. Yes, we do. Yeah, it's our full-time job.
Okay. So for me, obviously, a podcast that makes no money, that only costs me money as I continue to buy stuff like these things over here, I have to have a daytime job. And every April we have what we call our officer meeting. So there's a week there in April where I'll be out of state or wherever it is. I don't know where we're going this year for that. And then the family is going on a cruise toward the end of May. So there's the 2 dates I know, and I'll have to put them in the link here, that we won't have a show. But other than that, we're getting everything booked up.
Yeah.
So
Exciting.
Yep. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming out. We had a good showing tonight. We had, I think at one point it was over 30, and some of the people who had known Ben and Les and maybe even shot with them in the past. We're thankful that you guys came out and supported Ben.
Yeah, appreciate it. Anyone who saw it on Facebook and came out to at least see me on screen talk about photography, maybe be confused, thanks. That's awesome.
And Ben, when you get ready to do your workshop, make sure you shoot me a note, and we'll put it on our our page.
Make sure that we announce it because I know that people are interested in it for sure.
One of the beautiful things about us not being profit is we really want to, not only do we want to give back to the listeners by doing the giveaways and by doing the show itself, but whatever little thing we can do to help out our guests too. So as we get more and more likes on our Facebook page and more reach through the show, let us know, and we'll be happy to put the word out on your workshop and when that's going to come up.
Yeah.
Do you know roughly when the workshop's coming up? Have y'all thought about that?
Right now, there's a couple people in particular that I want to make sure are in attendance that had actually inquired about it, and so I'm kind of working with them to make sure we get a good weekend. It's going to be probably, my guess is early, middle March, at the earliest end of February, but yeah.
Okay.
March.
Well, just let us know, and we'll put something out there if you want us to, or anything else that comes up. We love to stay in touch with our guests.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, thank you for coming out. Thank you, everybody out in chat, for coming out. We're going to go ahead and end the live show, and I'm actually going to if you guys will all hang out for just a second, I'm going to end the broadcast here, and then
Sweet.
we'll
Thanks,
cut out.
everyone. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks everybody out in
Thanks,
chat.
everybody. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.